predisposing factors. And those predisposing factors are transmitted in a dormant state. In a what? A dormant state. It's your lifestyle that activates that. It means that if your father died of a heart attack and you know that, and you become proactive and start taking precautionary measures, you are not going to die of heart attack. Because your lifestyle will determine whether those traits could be activated or whether they could remain dormant. So I don't want anybody complaining that, oh, my father had this, or it is in the family line. Mba, you cause it yourself. And then finally, 10%. I say hereditary predisposition is 19%. 10% the state of healthcare services, the state of the clinic, the state of the hospitals, etc., etc. 10%. Now look at what we do in the world and in Nigeria. 100% of resources are put on 10% of determinants. All our money is in hospital, drugs. We only determine your health by 10%. 90% you hold the key. And I want to make a point on what we call orthodox medicine or curative health. As far as I'm concerned, it's remedy after death. Why? You allow the vehicle to break down. Then you go to the mechanic to panel beat you, just like I was panel beaten. Does it make sense? Why don't we service this engine so that it will not break down on the highway of life? That's wisdom. So that's what we do. We go to the medical doctor when the trauma of the symptoms of illness push us out of the comfort of our homes and offices. Then we go to the medical doctor and we tell him part of the story. We never tell him the whole story. You know? And they develop hunches. And to validate the hunches, they put us to a test. After putting us to a test to validate the hunches, they arrive at a diagnosis. Then they write a prescription. Then you take the drug. They only have two tools: drugs and surgery. Those are the only thing that you have in hospital. Now, all drugs are chemicals. All chemicals are poison. They alter the composition of body tissue. When you give in a drug, the doctor sits down there and says, okay, negative, positive. Well, at least it, is good for my pocket, and he describes the drug. There are many reasons why the medical doctor will prescribe a drug. One of the reasons is that the drug manufacturers actually harass them. In the US and in Europe, they will be given cruises, they'll be invited to big parties, they'll be given a lot of samples, and then the degree to which you prescribe that brings you returns. The same thing actually happens here. So when a medical doctor is prescribing a drug to you, it is not because it's the best drug that can do what it has to do. It's because it's the most profitable drug for him or her. And let me step back by making this point. Your interests are usually diametrically opposed to the interests of your medical doctor. I'll explain. I went to school with medical doctors. We all took anatomy, we took physiology. When I went to nutrition, probably they went to pharmacology and things like that. And when we graduated, one of the best professors of medicine was my mentor. So he got all of us, because in the US, medicine is what? A postgraduate program, just like pharmacy. You have to first of all have, a pre-med degree before you go to that. So when we graduated, he got us together and he was saying, my son, Jack, you are foolish. He goes, yes, sir. I said, because you choose preventive health. If you heal people, you're going to get at best a thank you note. And then he turned to the guy who's operator on me in Belgium and said, you, John, you are very wise. But let me tell you something. Now that you have graduated, ensure that you get between 20 to 25 rich patients and you keep them between life and death. And you're going to pay all your bills. Pay all your bills. And this is a simple point. If you were not sick, medical doctors will not make money. If there were no litigation, lawyers will go out of business. If there were no crime, armed forces and security will have nothing to do. In fact, security causes crime so that they can have budgets. As simple as that. And then the coffin makers every morning kneels down and begs God for people to die so that they can make money. So when you keep on going to the medical doctor who prescribe drugs, the drug may have a positive effect, but it also has non-negative effects we call side effects. And then unknown one we call adverse effects. So every drug comes with a high toxic load. So you go to the medical doctor, he prescribes a drug. You may have to come back for him to prescribe other drugs to take care of the side effects of the primary drug. And it's a vicious circle. So you have high blood pressure. You go to him, you're on drugs. After a while, the body gets habituated to those drugs. They either have to increase or to change. So for the rest of your life, you are on drugs. What took you there is your foolishness. And he's taking advantage of your foolishness. So basically, that is what the world is like. So, how now do we ensure that we stop this roller coaster of sickness and poisoning through medication? This is where we come to the word wellness. Wellness. Wellness means taking preventionary and precautionary measures to ensure that you can sustain the balance of your body.
Some of the doors are locked.
To prevent illness, to prevent drug taking, whether prescription drugs or any other thing, and then to ensure that you have energy and vitality so you can be productive and have longevity and happiness. So I'm telling you again that we only have two choices that are apparent to me. As leaders, you either plan to be Mandela or to be Yaradua. Mandela lived a long life where he was able to get what? A transition for his after politics, and then lived as a monument to be enjoyed. Yaradua did not even enjoy the fruits of his labor because he put all his energy on political power. And when he got it and he abandoned his health to the point of no return, no amount of money would save him. Was he not signing all our petrodollars with the green biro? Could that bring him back? And these are extremely important examples that we have to learn. Right here, Yaradua. Ghana, John Atamio. Hugo Chavez, Venezuela. All of them were what? President, commander-in-chief. They have all the power and prestige and money. But then you guys are going to tell me, don't mind politicians, they talk out of both sides of the mouth.